is the Almazine Podcast,
where the uncomfortable becomes comfortable. Sit with it.
Yeah.
So let's get started.
Okay. Yes, so we called our podcast Making the Uncomfortable Comfortable, right?
Almazine Podcast, making the uncomfortable comfortable. Maybe we'll have several different podcasts. We never know. Different
Yeah.
types of topics and things. But yeah, making space for the uncomfortable.
Yes. This is so uncomfortable.
This is a moment, isn't it? The starting of something new. The starting of like the beginning. And we are not professionals in this arena at all. This is definitely uncomfortable. So are we doing this nervous? Like oftentimes people fill in like silence with uncomfortable chatter. And is this what we're doing?
No, I think it should be, maybe we can balance it. If you have any relevant jokes to the conversation, you can fill it up. This empty moments, uncomfortable moments, but if you don't have anything relevant to say, I think it's just don't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
So-
sometimes that makes people uncomfortable when you don't say anything.
No, I don't think we'll be having this long uncomfortable moments, but yeah. But I think we will get better,
I think so too.
and it's always possible to cut them out. You
Yes.
don't need to have them on. You can cut out like whatever you feel
Yeah.
it should be in the podcast, and if it's not relevant, if we are talking off the topic, then we can just cut it off.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
So in that sense, I guess our recordings will be like 30 minutes,
Mm.
and then we just yeah, whatever is not relevant, we just cut it off,
Yeah.
cut it out.
But I think that making the uncomfortable comfortable, and I going back to the topic where people like to fill in those silences, the space, the uncomfortable silence with chatter. And I think that's kind of the idea of our podcast too. We're gonna do this chattering to get things going, to bring out the subject, to, I guess, grease the way, to make it comfortable in a way, make it cozy.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Absolutely, I totally agree. I think you bring some kind of vulnerability
Mm.
into the conversation and makes it real too. Yes. So, and you are real, Leah?
Me? Yes, I am real.
You're you're not made up.
Sometimes you can just, but sometimes I wonder. It's funny you remember that. Sometimes, is this real? Because existing right now in this timeline and this time is quite difficult. I think what's going on in the world,
Yes.
what's happening in politics, national, international politics, world politics. I think we have it pretty cozy here in Norway, but for me, being a multinational, multicultural person, that it gets quite uncomfortable living during this time. So that's sometimes I question my realness, because if I want to live and exist in this time, that's
Yeah, no,
things
that's a
I
very
think.
interesting perspective. I don't think I can completely relate to it, but I do have different cultural background too. But I feel like mentality-wise, I'm very close to Norwegian mentality.
Mhm.
I do like space, and I do appreciate local people respecting my space. Yeah, so it is very comfortable for me. Talking about feeling comfortable. When it comes to being real, then I'm giving this time and space to realize and to understand what is real about me. So, and we are real in different ways and different situations.
When you mean real, they also mean like the authentic you? Is that
Yes,
what you?
what exactly I want to say, if simplify that way, what exactly I want to take from the situation, and how I see it, and also how I want people to see me,
Hmm.
because we are very dynamic. We're very, it's we have, it's not, I'm not saying that we have different faces, but we do have different perspectives and interests and situations and circumstances. So that, like, yeah. And sometimes it's you need this. I need space and time to figure out that part of myself.
Yes, lots of time. What now? I'm in my middle age now. It's taken me many years of a journey and experience and living in, this is my third country residence, and to figure out, and I'm still figuring out who's the real me now, who's the authentic Leah.
Mm.
Uh, and I I feel, I think at this age, I remember admiring women when I was in my early 30s or late 20s, early 30s, and admiring women who were like in their 50s and thinking, wow, I want to be like that. They were so just themselves and so like they didn't care. And I was so at awe because I was caught up in the like trying to figure out and get a be, career and life, and eventually I had a child and figure out everything. And I was surrounded at a certain time when I lived in around Washington D.C. with, it was mainly women in their like 50s and mid 50s, and they were just so just themselves and comfortable with themselves, and I'm like, I want to be like that. So I'm not there yet, but I'm heading there, and I'm feeling like this is what's special about this I call it middle age, that I'm getting into comfortableness with my skin, even though a lot of things can be very uncomfortable with my body right now,
Mm.
changes and things happening.
That is fascinating. I think, yeah, I think it's we should look at it as more as a journey. When it comes to feeling real and authentic, I think it's a constant journey for us to understand ourselves. And there is, we can we can look at those destinations as small milestones. At least I see it that way. Every time you discover something within yourself, it's quite interesting and in a way amazing. As you say, it you react to it like in awe.
Hmm.
And when it comes to those milestones, I had this milestone just a few days ago. I was walking in Sandnes, and I saw my reflection on the window
Hmm.
of the building, and I like looked at myself, and I thought, it's just exactly the way I imagined myself when I was like 10 years old.
Wow.
That's crazy. I actually had that feeling. I looked at myself and I thought, like, yeah, that's how exactly I imagined myself, feeling wise. Of course, I can access my feelings. So, in comparison, what I uh, could access at that age when I imagined how I would be or who I would become, and and that was actually exactly the person I imagined. You know, happy, confident, knowing what I want to do, and feeling safe and good about myself. And that I'm going to take as a milestone.
Mm. That you that's really that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing, because I think that's, I wonder, would you tell that little Maria, the 10-year-old Marina, sorry, 10-year-old Marina, that I made that, that that is you. that she was right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was it like think of it was a premonition? Maybe it was or a vision or that's the first thing I thought when you were explaining that. I was like, I wonder if that 10-year-old Marina was having a premonition of you walking in Sanna's
Yeah, I
room.
don't know. I remember that moment very clearly. I was walking from school home, and it was not a short walk. And then I just imagined myself I would be um, feeling all these feelings, which I said, confident, happy, and knowing what I want to do, and comfortable and safe, and also uh, with the long straight hair. It's so funny. And tall enough. So it's and smiling. That's exactly the image I saw of myself in the window. It felt like deja vu, you know? That's amazing. Talking about real, how real we feel about ourselves. I think it's those small moments we discover within ourselves and feel and then rediscover and reconnect to what we imagined about ourselves. It's all this combination and this interesting moments. Yes, I think.
That's really nice. That's really beautiful.
Thanks.
Beautiful. I when I think back to my life, I don't think I had that. But lately it's funny you mentioned that. This last week I've been looking at the mirror. I saw myself and I didn't recognize myself.
Really?
Yeah,
Why?
I don't know. And I didn't have glasses. I mean, I have I looked at myself and I saw a different I saw a different person. Maybe something I and it wasn't bad and
Mm.
it wasn't good. It was just very neutral. And I'm like, I looked in my eyes and I'm like, maybe it's just, I think I'm used to seeing myself. I have glasses. I have a couple pairs of glasses and I was wearing contact lenses and I looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, who are you? You look different.
Mm.
But I think,
That's fast.
I don't have a memory like you of imagining myself in the future, but
Mm.
I saw it as I'm changing.
That's
I'm
beautiful.
transforming and I'm like and there wasn't any good or bad about it. There was
Mm.
just wow, who is I was curious because I was like you look different. You don't look like the you that I something's changing. And then I looked again a few days later in the bathroom mirror. So this was in my bedroom mirror and I didn't have my glasses on again and I'm like, yeah, I really looked. I'm like I'm a different person from what I see. So I'm really curious and I haven't thought about it. I was thinking of asking my partner, like, do I look different? He's always like, oh, you're beautiful and da 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 da. But no, I was like, it's just lovely to hear, but it's just like, there's something different. There's something going on. There's some changes happening, and it's for myself when I looked at myself in the mirror. But it's not a bad or good feeling. It's just I'm very curious as to what's coming ahead.
That's a very good perspective to take on the detail that you're actually staying present.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think so, because then when we stay present, we pay attention on ourselves, how we look, what we are surrounded with, and we compare. So you compared yourself with a previous version of you, how you looked before. So you have some knowledge and data how you looked before, which means that you were present before too. And the curiosity part that you felt neutral, I think it's very healthy
Hmm.
because then you're quite open to new possibilities, to new version of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are constantly changing.
It's like I see myself, I'm like, what is this? This new person. I was like,
Did
who
you
is that
feel
person?
scared or?
At first I was like, whoa, I think I had it was this a little, and like a little curious and I want to say like a little, I don't want to say really scared, but just a little like, ooh, I was a little taken back
Mm.
that what am I seeing? Am I having something's happening? Something's changing. I'm in a process. So it just felt like someone I mean, I recognized my hair, parts of myself, but in my eyes, they looked different to me. And I know that we see like the versions that we see on the camera on like the photo is different from what we see in the mirror.
It is very different, yes.
Excuse me. So it's definitely it just took me back that I saw something different. And like I said, it was a new and like I asked myself, are you okay with what's happening? And I was like, okay. And then I saw it again when I looked in another mirror because I was like, maybe it's some trick.
Mm.
Um, maybe it was the light, and I was like, no, I'm okay. And it was without my glasses. I think sometimes I can, you focus on your glasses when you look at yourself or how the glasses look. This I was looking at my eyes. So,
Mm. That is very fascinating.
hmm.
Yes, I think, yeah, I think sometimes we just get some secret messages from our subconscious.
Hmm.
So maybe you got that one.
I've had a fabulous week, and I think it definitely, I've received lots of messages from my subconscious, like you say, and I think from the universe with a lot of my interactions. I feel that I'm on my right path, and some people may feel uncomfortable with like I asked the universe for some help. I put out, I said, hey, give me some signs. And I felt I just allowed myself to accept what's happening and seeing that, and then my intuition was telling me this is a sign. And I collect several of them. And it was a nice subtle feeling, and it just in my head, in my gut, I knew that this was a sign that I was experiencing in these different over the 3 days, several days of this week,
Mm.
and it just seemed like a very positive, uplifting experience.
Mm.
And I got a lot of encouragement in these messages in a way from people through interactions. It was in my interactions, so it feels like I'm on the right path. And part of that path was to do this work with you. That's what I was asking the universe. What's my direction? Where do I go? Because I'm in a place where I need to decide, like, put your energies. I feel like I'm too split with everything. And definitely in doing what we're doing and starting and continue what we have started. It's that's the message I was getting. Is that's my path and my journey.
Actually, I can totally relate to it because it's as I said before, like we have this two different feelings which are like completely opposing to each other, is anxiety and excitement.
Mm,
And actually, it lights up in the same part of the brain. And if you connect it with the new experiences, of course, usually new experiences trigger either excitement or anxiety, right? Because it's something unfamiliar. So the more you do it, the more you expose yourself to new experiences and experimenting, I think then you start seeing something different within yourself because it's you're constantly evolving, you're changing, and your perspectives are not changing but broadening, and you are more eager. Uh, at least that how I can see myself. So and I just get this hunger. I want more. And also another thing that when you talked about getting a lot of messages from universe and from your environment, my thinking, I start thinking about once I was advised by one of the psychologists. She said, if you're doing something new, you're starting something new, and you're not confident about it, you need to surround yourself with people who would repeatedly tell you that how good you are. And there's also sort of like a ripple effect when it comes to when you do many new different things. So then you do get more confident, and you don't need to be told repeatedly how good you are.
Mm-hmm.
You just take it whenever you get it, and then and it's those messages become more and more effective. So then that's how maybe that's how why maybe you saw them as a signs from the universe, because before we just didn't notice them.
Possibly.
That's how I understand it, and from one perspective at least. Yeah, no, that's a very
That and people might be like uncomfortable about like hearing science from the universe, but sometimes I feel that way. That I feel like I'm like I don't know. I could go this way. I can go that way. I can. I really. I feel like I'm at a crossroads, and I needed. I need some signs. I mean, of course, I have many different interests and different competencies and experiences, and I like at this place where I can either go this way or that way, or I'm trying to always do everything at the same time.
yeah,
And
that I can totally relate to. But imagine if you do one thing, the same thing every day. I mean, it's no wonder you get scared of doing new things.
yeah,
But the more you do new things, the more you get involved or you
and it
engage,
becomes more comfortable to
it becomes more comfortable.
try new things.
Yeah, it becomes natural.
Hmm.
And then you just look for them. And if you don't get them, it feels like you're just
I think what
missing.
I need, what I'm, for me, trying new things is easy,
Yeah, there you go.
but staying with one, staying on one path, I think that's like deciding and sticking with one thing is, that's I have some experience. I stick with really deciding and saying this is it instead of having um, lots of other things. I have lots of different things going on just as backup as
I think,
possibilities, but really just putting my all. And I think that's in myself and in my project, in my business, in me, in my creative endeavors. That's something to really do it. And I have this safety stuff all just to do it. That's new for me.
I think that's very natural that you find it boring to stay in one thing. It's absolutely the same with me.
Mm.
That's how I always, every time I run a workshop, I change something.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's a great opportunity to try something new and to evolve, to gain more knowledge, and instead of doing just the same thing. Of course, I will do it to different people, which is again different experience, and there's nothing wrong with it either. But what I want to say that what you said, I think it's absolutely natural. Once you enter those dynamics, when you get excited, trying new things more often than before, it's very natural for you to just stay playful and experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can still do the same thing, but in different in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that you are quitting it. It means that you're evolving.
Yeah. I guess that's the person I'm seeing in the mirror. The involving Leah.
Yeah, no, that's a possibility. Yes, I think that's the truth actually.
Mm.
Yeah, not a possibility. I think that's the reality. Talking about being
Being
real.
real.
Yes. Yeah.
I hope this was real enough.
I think so. I really believe that it was this was a real enough.
And this is the real beginning. So we, but definitely the idea is to talk about things that just maybe people have thoughts in their head and get it out loud and create a space to have a dialogue who's safe space that we can maybe bring up questions or ideas or things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is 100% real. We're not kidding around. No. No. I think there are lots of topics that people are very uncomfortable to talk about. And I have always felt about myself as a rebellion. And I really like challenging people too.
Oh,
And
yes. I think two, I think we're two peas in a pod, I would say. I love that when, I mean, I just, those things that are taboo and that are like society and cultures have made taboo in a way that like don't make sense to me. I'm trying to make sense of them, like our body and our changes and like feelings and things that I'm like, we should talk about this. Why don't we put them on the open? Why people have questions about it? Why are we all scurrying around and not talking about this? So like, yeah, I like to talk about it. I'd like to bring it out in the proper format, of course. I'm not going to.
yes,
I think with you that we can play around with that and talk and possibly bring other people into our conversation that might like to squirm
yeah,
or to not squirm. I don't want to feel so, I want to make it comfortable to feel like we can be vulnerable and take up topics that might be a little bit sensitive.
yeah, it's still very possible that even though you talk openly about uncomfortable topic, it can still remain uncomfortable,
Mm.
which is absolutely fine. But then we at least had an effort, to put an effort to air it out,
Yeah.
and then make some kind of space for people to think about it from our perspective or from other people's perspective. Because if you don't talk about it, you have your own perspective only,
Hmm.
and that's not enough. It's never enough because usually, like, we have certain experiences, we have, of course, and then certain point of view, but it's good to be open-minded. And when it comes to challenging people to talk about uncomfortable topics, I do have this funny thing in me when I hear something uncomfortable, like or taboo or stigmatized. I get this feeling of I'm not sure how to call it. I get excited. I feel it. I feel sort of some kind of excitement to uh, dare people.
Mm.
And even though sometimes I don't even know much about that topic, but then I feel like, yeah, why not? Yeah, why do you think it's wrong, or why do you think we can't talk about it, or why do you think it's um, something that we should judge?
I want people to, yeah, I want people to, not only people, myself included, I'm people, but I think I agree to contemplate why we have these feelings this way. Why is I either
So
as
interesting.
a collective or as an individual?
Yes, exactly.
Just to check in. Like I like this check in with myself. Why am I feeling or think this way or have this opinion
Mm,
or have these feelings to go a little deeper than just that's the way it is. I was never a person who could accept that's the way it is.
yeah,
I
no,
wanted to understand why.
I have the same curiosity. It's like even I don't have any knowledge about certain topics, but I get very curious about it, and I want to hear people's perspective. Like, and then I want to say no, no, that's not enough.
So I hope the people who would listen to this podcast would be like, yeah, I want to listen to these two lovely ladies talking about uncomfortable or taboo subjects, or subjects that are just, yeah, to bring space to that.
Yeah.
I think that's and also to maybe get others to kind of contemplate how they feel or think about it, and add to the conversation in a way, or even get curious about themselves,
Yeah.
or about why, or just to contemplate, or to, even if it's something that you never had to deal with. I think it's about facing, like I said, living in other countries, I've had to face my other, like, who am I,
Mm.
and my identity, and my thoughts and feelings, my opinions, my cultural context, how I've grown up, um, and what I carry with me, and my thoughts and beliefs. And I think sometimes we can get so comfortable in lives we don't ask why, we just do and go along with the flow. So,
Absolutely. If you stop asking questions why, I think you need to get different set of topics to ask. The questions why, maybe then you will circle back to your
it always goes down and hit feelings.
yeah, it's just to find your passionate topics, I guess, but and which is also very dynamic and not static at all, always moves. Yeah. So
Life,
that's
life. I think everybody is interesting. Even people who think I'm just a person who has this and that, and like, I'm not exciting. I think everybody is interested and exciting in some way, and a lot to add. And so I think we'll find many topics and many things to discuss here.
do you have any suggestions for what kind of topics?
Ooh.
That's gonna go for another podcast, right?
Yes. I think we just did a precursor today about we'll be talking about uncomfortable things. I think we touched based on some vulnerable and uncomfortable things.
Yeah, I think so. I think there are a lot of things we can talk about, and I think we can make it very interesting. Yes,
Yeah.
I believe in us.
I do too.
Good.
And I believe that that there's that we're going to find an audience who also thinks this is really interesting and curious, and
Yeah,
wants to get uncomfortable with us.
yeah, no, absolutely. I believe in that too, but if not, then we can listen to each other. When someone's looking at us, oh my God, look at me. What am I doing? No, no, but this is a good start.
Yes.
Mm,
All
I
right.
think so, and I wish you best of luck.
I wish you the best of.
Okay, I think we're okay now.
Thank you for listening to Almazin podcast.